Welcome to the shit show. Every single day, a new flavor of fuckery. Cause everybody's such, you see, and they're dumber than a bag of clots. Monday, bullshit. Tuesday, bullshit. Wednesday, hey, what the fuck? And then 4 more days of increasingly stupid, ridiculous, ignorant, boulder, dash, poppycock, bollocks, and fuckery. Yeah, it all over again.
Hello. Man, oh man, we got a lot to cover. There's apparently so much going on right now. So we have a lot to get through, and I still had to cut away some of the stories. I still couldn't keep all of them. Let me dust this off real quick. Present screen. Oh, there is something I had added almost last minute that I was wanting to talk about. I had a weird encounter earlier today, or late last night. I'd have to look at it, but it was somebody who used to be friends with my ex-husband, and I found him on somebody's post, and we seemed to be getting along all right, and I was like, oh, this guy's he's smart. Hey there, beautiful day. Hey, I said hi to you in your chat earlier, and you didn't say hi, so I was kind of worried something was wrong, other than the normal stuff, I reckon. But so yeah, all right. So there's a story I put in my Facebook story that a mom got revenge on a cop that killed her 10-year-old son. I'll share the screen and I'll see if I can bring it up. If it's still up there. It should still be up there. Let me go get it real quick. I did later. I try to catch up. You're good. Okay, cool. Let's see. Okay. So. Okay. So apparently it's past its time. But basically, yeah. So basically, this cop shot this 10-year-old kid, and of course, they found him, not guilty, as they usually do. And so the mom works in the medical field. So apparently, she got herself a hypodermic that had HIV infection, and stabbed the cop with it. I'm like, oh. And she said something along the lines, if my son had to die miserably, so do you. And I'm like, bruh. So I saluted that. I was like, you know what? I can't blame a woman getting revenge for someone who murdered her son. I don't give a fuck if it was a cop. And this guy was so butthurt because no matter how much he knows the government's crap, he believes in aliens, the deep state. For some reason, he's still licking the boot. Actually, yeah, I might be able to find it. So let me check. Actually, I sent it to a friend. So I don't know if I can make this bigger. Hold on. I'll download it and make it bigger. So this is what I posted in my Facebook story. Officer acquitted in shooting a 10-year-old. Mother arrested for retaliation with HIV-infected needle. Well, fuck yeah. Well, he got all upset. He goes, if you support this trash like this, we can't be friends. I told you I'm the same as I was, just smarter. I'm like, yarg, cringe. Okay, cool. Bye-bye. Really? Because he's got this wild idea. I don't know why, but he's got this wild idea that the police can do no wrong. Like, support the police no matter what kind of shit. I'm absolutely serious. In fact, let me see if I can go find the commentary that was going with this. Previous notifications. Marcus. Okay. So Here it is. And I'll show you the article in a minute because I've got it opened up over here because that's the conversation we're going to get into. Charges dismissed against Oklahoma City police officer accused of excessive force against a 71-year-old man. Holy fuck. 71? He might have Vietnam flashbacks, 71. Holy fuck. And here he is. The old man should have kept his hands to himself. His injuries are a result of his own actions. Unfortunately, don't touch law enforcement. I don't know what the apostrophe S is, like law enforcement? Or law enforcement's what? I don't know. Anyway, but even people who are pro-cop were like, yeah, that's too fucking much. And part of the issue is that the charges were dismissed not by the court. The attorney general dismissed them. He's been cock-blocking an investigation against the corruption in DHS. In child services, kids are getting touched on, beaten, abused, and he's blocking an investigation against it. So it tells you the kind of person Drummond is. But yeah, he is absolutely like, well, whatever. And I was like, the guy could have dementia. We don't know. And we don't know what way they put hands on the guy. I mean, he might have just put his hand on the cop's shoulder for balance. We don't know. At what point does law enforcement have to defend themselves? What if the old man shot the cop? Like, that's a stupid what if, because obviously the old man didn't. The old man was unarmed. So it's a stupid what if right here. And you realize you have to expend energy. Okay, this is what gets me. What if you realize you don't have to expend emotional energy for something that you choose to invest in? Okay. Had he had dementia, he wouldn't be driving. Not a guarantee. Some people in some early stages of dementia could still be driving, even if they're not supposed to. This can cost police their lives. So apparently he's got this idea. He's got this idea in his head that cops are more important than regular people. Well, I wanted to dive into that for a few minutes. So that's this I was talking about. So our attorney general dismissed that. And I think it's interesting because if we're supposed to trust the system, then he should have trusted the system that they would have found the police officer not guilty. Why did he have to intervene? Yeah. So I want to give it a fantastic example of why qualified immunity and protecting bad cops is bad. Here we go. We got independent police slaughter mother and 2-month-old infant in botched domestic dispute call. The Independence police recklessly killed Maria Pike and shot her 2-month-old infant, Destiny, in the head. Community members are accusing the department of a blatant cover-up, demanding the release of the body cam footage and accountability for all officers involved. That wasn't long ago. It was only November 18th. Can you imagine? Look at this. Can you imagine shooting this woman? From the story I saw, she was laying down with the infant on her chest. So when they shot the baby, she started freaking out, and they shot her. Well, if you shot my baby, I'd freak out too. Can you imagine shooting that baby? That's fucked. But some people love the police so much, they'd be like, well, the baby should have complied, I guess. 2-month-old Destiny Hope and her mother, Maria Pike, were gunned down by Independence police in what community members are calling a state-sanctioned execution. Killings have sparked outrage and demands for justice, as they should. Let's see. The tragic chain of events set in motion in the afternoon of November the 7th when Talisa Combs and baby Destiny's grandmother called the police to report a domestic dispute at the Oval Springs apartment in Independence. According to Talisa, she had been assaulted by Maria during a heated altercation. She wanted Maria arrested for assault, but what unfolded far exceeded anything she could have imagined. Even the woman was like, I wanted her arrested for assault, not executed. See, yeah. Sometimes when people are like, well, maybe you shouldn't call the police. Maybe you should call a crackhead. I think I'd be better off. So, yeah. So sometime later, the cops showed up and killed the baby and the woman. Let's see. Yeah. So that's pretty wild. I thought they had training not to shoot the wrong people. And then we have this. Let me see. Make sure it's muted so we don't get in trouble for that. So this man is not only unarmed, he is handcuffed. And look, they're trying to shove a cloth in his mouth. Like, you can suffocate people doing that, shoving cloths down their throat. But keep watching. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. That's just her talking. Okay, I was wondering why we're in the middle of this. And they're holding him by the throat, notice. So he's trying to resist having fabric shoved down his throat, even though he's in handcuffs with hands behind his back. And so they start beating him in the face. And this dude, I guess this cop right here is just punching him in the legs or something. That's kind of weird, but okay. It keeps glitching. And this guy, what the fuck is even this? Like, you would think if someone's struggling, their legs would be up and kicking. His legs are not up and kicking, as you can see right here. But this cop sure is. Like, this is some weird shit right here. The fuck? Oh, now he's moving his legs, but I would too if you had your stomach on my abdomen like that. Oh, at one point they had him around the throat. There's a bunch of different footage. You can go look for it yourself. This was done on December the 9th. It says New York Correctional Officer pummel handcuffed prisoner to death. Yeah, so you can see, and at one point they do have his throat, their hands around his throat, and they're bringing him up and setting him down, bringing him up and setting him down by his throat. And now they have him lifted off the ground and just kind of moving him toward, I guess, a window? I guess? I don't know why. That seems kind of bizarre to me. Oh, and this cop right here, he keeps putting his hand over his camera to try to hide shit every once in a while. And now we jump to this part where the man is completely unresponsive and they have stripped him down. Which, since he was already in jail, they should have no reason to strip him down, because it's not like they just freshly arrested him and they're taking his clothes and processing him into jail. He was already a prisoner. Yeah, this guy is checking for a pulse, as you can see. And the man is completely unresponsive. And then we have, from December of 2023, officer who shot an 11-year-old boy who called 911 to report a domestic violence incident will not be indicted. He shot an 11-year-old kid who was calling for help for his mom, I think. Mississippi police officer who shot and wounded an unarmed 11-year-old boy who called 911 in May because of an alleged domestic violence incident at his home will not be indicted. Oh, wow, the attorney general now. I'm sure, yeah, the attorney generals are scumbags. On Thursday, a grand jury in Sunflower County reported that it found no criminal conduct on behalf of the Indianola Police Sergeant Greg Capers. Really, no criminal conduct. You shot an unarmed 11-year-old kid. Anyway, but Sergeant Capers, who shot and injured Adrian Murray in the chest while responding to a 911 call on May the 20th, Mississippi Office of the Attorney General said in a statement. The Office of the Attorney General said it had completed its review of the officer-involved incident and presented it to a grand jury. As such, no further criminal action will be taken by this office in this matter. The Murray family plans to follow up by filing a federal lawsuit, as they should. This kid, an 11-year-old child. So when people back the police, no matter what the police do, I find it so fucking cringe. It's gross. And there should be no qualified immunity for the police. There really shouldn't be. Because when you offer somebody a job that they can do whatever they want, and they won't get in trouble, you're going to attract the worst kind of fucking people to do that job. And then I found this. Yes. I don't know if it's, well, I don't know. ACLU's kind of a bunch of weirdos, so hold on. But, let's see. Apparently, Trump likes the idea of giving police even more immunity from prosecution. That's insanely dangerous. I mean, the police are already pretty dangerous as it is. Actually, yeah, let's just go ahead and read the article. The fuck of it. Donald Trump has long identified himself as a candidate of law and order, but during the Trump administration, law and order translated to a severe approach to criminal punishment and policing that failed to make us safer. Today, his proposed policy for a second term promised to double down on those ineffective tough-on-crime tactics. If re-elected, a second administration threatens to accelerate mass incarcerations and roll back decades of progress by encouraging aggressive policing tactics, enacting draconian sentencing regimes, and expanding the use of the death penalty. So, yeah, very fucking scary. So, I mean, the police already can pretty much get away with doing anything. Imagine it worse. Imagine them with even more immunity, and they'd be able to do anything they want. Kick in your, I mean, hell, they can already kick in your door, shoot you, and then be like, oops, wrong house. And they won't get in trouble. I've seen it a ton of times. Oh, meow, Lady Mist. How are you? Well, I don't know what to tell him. I've already checked my block list and he's not there. So I don't know how to help him. And also, what's bizarre is that he can't be blocked in just StreamYards because today is the first day of using my other account that's actually under Chris's name. For the last month or so, I've been using the other account. So I would find it unlikely he'd be blocked in both. So I don't know what to tell him. Like, I'm sorry. I mean, I've even gone through the settings in StreamYards to see if there's a block list, and I can't find one. And YouTube, he's not in the block list. A bunch of troll names and stuff are, but he's not. I guess you can. Amina? I'm so confused by that. Yes, you can't. Well, I don't know. We'll look into it in a bit. All right. So let me check. Okay, so let me see. All right. So I can get rid of this article because I have it open in another spot as well. I can close this now as well. That's an article I haven't gotten to yet. Anyway, the U.S. House panel finds Matt Gaetz paid for sex and drugs and obstructed Congress. I already told y'all he was a shitbag when Trump was trying to appoint him and everybody was freaking out. And they wanted his ethics committee report. And the Speaker of the House, Johnson, and Marjorie Taylor Greene were fighting tooth and nail to prevent this coming out, which tells you the kind of people that they are. They're scumbags. Look at him trying to get away from the press. Scumbag. Former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz paid tens of thousands of dollars to women for drugs and sex that were violations of a series of House rules and included obstruction of Congress, the U.S. House of Representatives Ethics Committee said in a report released on Monday. That dude is such a fucking weirdo. The report found that Gaetz paid $90,000 to 12 women, a substantial portion of which the panel found was likely for either sexual activity or drug use. It is determined that there is substantial evidence that Gaetz had sex with a 17-year-old girl while serving in the House. These people, this is kind of crazy. These people live by a completely different set of rules than we do. I'm telling you, they do. Let's read the rest of this mess. Gaetz, who denied wrongdoing, of course he did, resigned from the House last month after he was selected by President Trump to be Attorney General. He then withdrew from consideration for that job in the face of an uphill confirmation battle in the Senate. The release of the report came despite the last-minute legal challenges from Gaetz in federal court in Washington, in which he argued that the ethics panel no longer had jurisdiction after Gaetz resigned from Congress. Oh, no. As far as I'm concerned, if you did it, it needs to come out. Question is, why the hell did nobody expose it before? I feel like that's an important question to ask on both sides, Democrat and Republican. Why did nobody do anything about it before? Because they're all on fucking Epstein's list, I reckon. Or equally as bad. The committee went forward with the release of the report, and Gaetz's lawyers later conceded that the lawsuit was now irrelevant. Yeah? The committee determined that there was substantial evidence that Representative Gaetz violated House rules and other standards of conduct prohibiting prostitution, statutory rape, illicit drug use, impermissible gifts, special favors or privileges, and obstruction of Congress. Well, he just checked off the whole fucking thing, didn't he? While Gaetz was found to have been involved in transporting women across state lines for the purpose of commercial sex, the panel said it did not have evidence that any of the women were under 18 at the time of travel, or that Gaetz had violated federal sex trafficking laws. Sir! What? Hold on. Right here. Women across state lines for commercial sex. That is literally, especially when it goes across state lines, that is a, what is it? Violating federal sex trafficking laws. Two and two do equal 4 here. God bless it. How the hell are they going to say this right here and then say, like, or that Gaetz had done this? Like, it's right there. You fucking admitted it. However, someone identified as victim A told the panel of twice having sex with Gaetz at a party in 2017 while she was underage, receiving $400 cash payment that she understood to be for sex. Yikes. And where the hell was her parents? Like, I have to ask that question too. Like, where the fuck? My parents, if I was underage, my parents would not have let me go to one of these parties. Actually, even when I was in my 20s, my parents would have fought me about it. At the time, the victim had just completed her junior year of high school. She testified that she did not inform Gaetz that she was under 18 at the time, nor did he ask her age. The committee did not receive any evidence indicating that Gaetz was aware that she was a minor when he had sex with her. I want to know what she looks like. I want to know if she looks underage. There's times when people look really underage, you gotta ask. The report concluded that the encounter likely violated Florida law on statutory rape because Gaetz was 35 at the time. Gaetz denied in a written submission to the panel that he had sex with, let's see. In a written submission to say that he had sex with anyone under 18. I think they're missing something. I think it's supposed to say he did not or whatever. Like, I think they missed a word in there, so it kind of confuses the sentence. But anyway. Social media on X, ahead of the report's release, Gaetz said that he sometimes sent funds to women I dated. It's embarrassing, though not criminal, that I probably partied, womanized, drank, and smoked more than I should have earlier in life. I live a different life now. Mm-hmm. Right. I assume this is still why he was, doing his job Yeah, this is so fucking insane. Like, there's just no justice for the shit he does. If any of us did that, we'd be in jail. Anyway, so Trump has appointed another high-priced donor to his cabinet. And fuck me, it's unbelievable. So, a billionaire defense contractor is tapped as Trump's nominee amid the scrutiny of Pete Hegseth. So, fuck, here we go. So, President-elect Donald Trump has announced his nomination of Steven Feinberg, a billionaire and defense contractor, as Deputy Defense Secretary. I'm going to just highlight this. I'm just going to let this sink in with all of y'all for just a second. Take as much time as you need. Now, we're always concerned about politicians doing insider trading. This is not going to be any fucking different. He is literally a defense contractor. And now he's going to be also a defense secretary. For those who don't know, defense secretary means you're in charge of basically of the country's defense. Yes? And he's a defense contractor. Contractors are people we hire to go, give us weapons and ammunition and do all kinds of crazy ass shit overseas that most of us don't get to hear about. So this guy can basically just keep fluffing up his business and keep giving himself money in this job. This guy has zero incentive to do the right thing. This guy will find any excuse to make money, and that's going to be war. War will make this man money. It's insane. I can't believe he hired him for this job. Fuck. I mean, Fox in charge of the hen house kind of shit. The decision came amidst uncertainty surrounding the confirmation of Trump's choice for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who has faced allegations of excessive drinking and a past sexual assault claim. Hegseth's confirmation process also garnered attention due to a recent controversy involving the U.S. military academy at West Point. Oh boy. Fuck. Feinberg, co-CEO of Cerberus Capital Management, has experience in defense and intelligence, having previously led the President's Intelligence Advisory Board during Trump's first term. His nomination has raised questions over potential conflicts of interest due to his extensive background in defense contracting, including investments in hypersonic missiles. Well, I'm glad they're covering it. I'm just gonna let y'all marinate with that for just a jiffy. Yeah. That fucking shit. Make the Pentagon great again. Oh God. Trump said Feinberg is an extremely successful businessman who will help make the Pentagon great again. When was the Pentagon ever great? We're supposed to be stopping the swamp. This guy is just, oh my God, he's just saturating the swamp. Hegseth had not applied to the academy. Okay. A West Point employee wrongly stated that Hegseth had not applied to the academy, prompting backlash from Republican lawmakers. West Point later acknowledged the mistake, confirming Hegseth had indeed been accepted in 1999, but did not attend. So he was going around telling everybody he went to West Point. Wow. That's shiesty. All right. All right. They apparently deeply regret the mistake. It's not that big of a mistake. He applied, but he didn't attend. It's not a huge difference, really. Point is, he didn't go. Fucking Tom Cotton. God almighty, I hate this fucking man so much. You know, we've seen enough of that. But fuck, people are insane. Ugh, where are we at? Okay, let me go back and... sorry. Okay. All right. Enjoy your little snacks. Meow, meow. Hello. Let's see, Cal. They are mad it came out when he killed it. Right? I don't know why it didn't come out sooner. That's the thing that gets me, is you're telling me that supposedly they all have beef with each other, but yet nobody snitched. Nobody secretly divulged this to the press. I can only assume they're just as bad as each other. All of them. The right. That's the way they think. A lot of parents just do it, right? And it's not even a Republican thing at this point. I mean, it is, but it's not. because it's a bunch of Democrats that are pretty shisty too. Like, I'm assuming everybody over there in Congress and all the representatives are just skis balls. All of them. Because if it was just a Republican thing, then why did no Democrat snitch on him? Why did none of them, like, leak that to Telegram or fucking something? Like, So Russia wants Alaska back. You know what? It's not even that crazy. It really isn't even that crazy to me, honestly. Because, like, Trump wants Greenland and Canada. Why the hell does he want Greenland? Poor Greenland. What did they ever do to deserve this? So he's like, we need to have Canada and we need to have Greenland. So Russia wanting Alaska back is not even the weirdest fucking thing I've heard this week. It's really not. I mean, it's only like a mile or two away. At least at its closest points. So actually, it may not be. Right? They are. They're all terrible. Every fucking one of them. I miss the days when we could complain about Democrat or Republican. It's so bad. They're all shit. Oof. Okay. Let me go. Let's get rid of this mess. Okay. So in the Sudan, largest humanitarian crisis ever recorded is 25 million Sudanese face acute hunger. This is fucking terrible. And a lot of this shit we covered about a month ago, that one of the rebel forces, finger quotes, has been trained and funded by Mossad. I'm sure y'all remember that. So let's let this play. Got it on mute so I don't get a copyright hit. So I want to make the captions a little bit bigger. Hold on. All right. I don't know why it's showing stuff going on in Gaza. I mean, it's obviously important, but it's not the Sudan. Yeah, it's showing stuff going on in Gaza, but this is supposed to be about the Sudan. So I don't know what the fuck is going on. They can never put their videos in the right fucking place. Point is, terrible shit's happening over there. Let's go to the next article, and maybe one day they'll put the correct video with the correct article. So this fucking mess happened a few days ago. Syria protests erupt over shrine desecration. That offshoot of Al Qaeda, violence intensifies, sectarian fears escalated. So yeah, remember how everybody was like, "Oh, don't worry, the Taliban's or Al Qaeda's different now." Of course, sure they are. Leopards change their spots. An Alawite shrine. Alawite is a kind of an offshoot of Islam. It's actually the religion that Assad is, and it's can't remember. It's like almost like a mix of, I think, Christian and Muslim. I think I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like Islam light, I think. But I mean, you can look it up. But that's basically what the shrine was destroyed, or what religion it belongs to. Anytime some shit happens, they're always like, let's bring democracy to this country or that country. Cracking down on protest is not democracy. Oh, assassination of 3 judges. Oh, shit. Funny, that's not the main headline on different news channels, but we know why. Oh, nighttime curfews. Lovely. That always sounds like freedom to me. Yeah, this is the same footage I showed y'all like 2 weeks ago. The silliness right there. Let's see. The unitary minister claims the shrine video is old but fails to claim public anger, or fails to comment. Oh, that's right. Let's back that up just a little bit. Christians protest the burning of a Christmas tree near Hama. The new Al Qaeda bunch promises to restore it. Their Christmas tree got set on fire, for fuck's sake. That's fucked up. They promised to restore it. It's after Christmas. Doesn't fucking do any good, does it? Yeah, sure. Using the same clips over and over. I assume they have very limited clips where people are happy, is my guess. Check. See how y'all are doing over here. All right. Well, we kind of covered this, I guess. Hundreds of Christians protest in Syrian capital after Christmas tree was burned. But we kind of covered that, the gist of that last article, so we'll just skip that. Now, this is a fucked up shit. This is from like 3 days ago. I think 3 days ago. Let me refresh this. 3 days ago? 5 days ago. I should have been on this more. I fell behind. Ex-Israeli agent reveals how pager attacks were carried out. Now, some of what he says is a lie, I think, but we'll get into it. 2 former Israeli intelligence agents have revealed how members of the Lebanese Shia militia group Hezbollah used Israeli-made walkie-talkies booby-trapped with explosives for 10 years before they were detonated. Now, here's a little bit of my issue with this. Is who the hell keeps any electronics for 10 years? Usually TVs and phones and all kinds of stuff, usually they break or go bad. So I don't believe it was 10 years. 10 months, maybe. I could see it being 10 months. They sent that stuff out and people bought it and used it until they detonated. But 10 years? Who the hell is going to keep the same phones and walkie-talkies for 10 years without needing new ones, without those getting broken? That part seems unlikely. But even if we were to take this at its value, at face value, and believe that it was 10 years, that means that 10 years ago, which would make it 2014, they had no reason to booby trap explosives in their stuff. Get that? That's crazy. That you would booby trap somebody's stuff with explosives 10 years before you had an issue with them or whatever. Because they've actually had back and forth issues for a while. But it makes you wonder if this was the case, then why they not detonate it sooner? Why wait 10 years? That doesn't make sense. That's why I think, that's why I'm pretty sure it's a lie. 10 months, I would believe. 10 months is still pretty crazy. But 10 months makes more sense. So this guy is lying, I think, in that regard. Let's see. The 2 ex-Mossad agents told U.S. CBS News how the service duped Hezbollah into buying thousands of rigged walkie-talkies and pagers without realizing they were made in Israel. So if they have been doing this for 10 years, can you imagine where all they still have stuff rigged up to blow up? Hell, they could be holding our politicians hostage with rigged up computer monitors for all we know. I mean, we have no idea where all these explosives might be. We should definitely try to boycott anything Israel makes, just for that. Dozens of people were killed and thousands injured in those attacks. Israel said it tailored the target only Hezbollah members, but civilians were among the victims. Yeah, reckon so. And it is a war crime. That's insane. And again, 10 years before they were detonated? That is fucking bizarre. That's a weird claim to make. Next article. Hamas official says terror group won't hand over a list of living hostages until ceasefire agreement. I am pretty sure they don't have any hostages left. I mean, I don't see how they could possibly have anybody left. Back in like October, when we did that little countdown on how many, they should have been a negative 35 hostages. They shouldn't have had any hostages left in September and October. They really shouldn't have. And plus, with the fact Israel keeps accidentally bombing their hostages and killing them, I think the reason why Hamas is not going to hand over a list till the ceasefire agreement is because they don't think they have anybody left. Quite frankly, I think it would be much easier just to hand them a list of people who are living to get the ceasefire going. I don't think they have anyone left. Senior Hamas officials denied reports that Gaza-based terrorist group is refusing to provide a full list of the living hostages. The official explained that Hamas has already provided a partial list, but is facing difficulties in contacting other terrorist groups responsible for holding the captives. Oh, so now they're saying there's other groups involved. I wonder if they're going to say who it is. And I say this because this could be a little foreshadowing of other terrorist groups that are going to try to hold responsible for shit. If, let's say, Syria has been set up and that Taliban bunch, or I'm sorry, Al-Qaeda, whatever, those Al-Qaeda bunches in Syria, what if they use the fact that this might be a terrorist group and it's like, well, they're holding them hostage too as an excuse to attack and go after the people in charge that are now taking office in Syria. That way they can try to take full control. It would be funny if that's what this is leading up to. All right. See, Israel estimates estimates indicate that there are 100 hostages in Gaza, 64 of whom are believed to be alive. So you think there's like 40-something people that are dead and they're just carting them around with them everywhere they go? Come on now. The official rejected earlier Israeli reports claiming that Mohammed Sinwar, the de facto leader of Hamas military wing in Gaza and brother of the slain leader Yahya Sinwar, is being inflexible and unwilling to provide a complete list of living hostages. Again, I'm not entirely sure about. Oh, okay, hold on. They said that he was giving a partial list. That partial list might be who is actually left alive, if any of them. Hamas has engaged in talks with other factions holding the hostages, but due to the situation in Gaza, it is impossible to contact all the organizations. Hamas has confirmed that it will provide a full list of living hostages once the situation stabilizes after a ceasefire. That's wild because this is the first time I think we're hearing they're claiming that there are other organizations involved in this now. Suspicious. The senior Hamas official claimed that the military wing operates in full coordination with its political leadership, with complete alignment between the two. He added that the military wing has authorized Al-Hayya, acting chairman of the Hamas Political Bureau, to lead the negotiation delegation, granting him the power to make decisions as he sees fit. Lordy. No, this headline is fucking wild. Far-right minister says firing attorney general more important than freeing hostages. Wow. Iran nukes. Not sure how that fits in, but we're going to find out. Far-right heritage minister Elihu, I can't pronounce this part, Elihu said that firing attorney general Myra is the most important action the government can take, even if Iran is on the cusp of becoming a nuclear nation and with 100 hostages held in Gaza. They apparently really hate this woman. Holy fuck. That's exactly what we're saying, that there's nothing more important than that. Elihu told Army Radio on Wednesday when asked about the significance of potentially dismissing Myra, maybe? I don't know, from her position. They've been trying to get rid of that attorney general for a while now. But it's wild that he's saying that getting rid of her is more important than freeing hostages. Holy shit. Can you imagine? When asked whether that is his position, even if Iran is signaling it may develop nuclear weapons with the hostages still in captivity, Elihu said, I think you're wrong in your analysis, but because today I perceive the legal problem as more of a problem than that harms Israel's security. Elihu doubled down on his comments despite public criticism. Those who care about the hostages must understand that now more than ever, an unequivocal clarification is needed on the issue of the powers of the Attorney General, military prosecutors, and the state prosecutors. The path to the release of the hostages passes through a complete military victory, and to achieve this, it is our duty to ensure a deep reform of the legal system. So basically, they want to prevent Netanyahu basically from getting in any legal trouble for the stuff he's done. And that matters so much to them, even more than the hostages being released. Can you imagine? Like, I don't want to hear them ever complain about the hostages again. Because they care more about firing this woman who could bring legal trouble to Netanyahu than to save the hostages. Wow. I gotta save that one for later. I'm fucking stunned. So the Palestinian Authority bans Al Jazeera news channel operations in the West Bank. I'm going to tell y'all right now, the Palestinian Authority is just as bad as Israel. They are. They are a bunch of fucking psychos. They started going real bad after Yasser Arafat was killed. They have absolutely gone off the fucking deep end here. And I was wondering why in the world they would do this other than the obvious. But we'll get to it in a second because that's this article right here. The Palestinian Authority has shut down operations in Qatar-based news network Al Jazeera in the West Bank, according to local reports. In a statement, Al Jazeera condemned Fatah, the Palestinian Authority ruling party in the West Bank, for what it describes as an incitement campaign against the news organizations and its reporters. So that's something they have in common. Israel and the Palestinian Authority are trying to do away with reporters. The ban was instituted by Fatah on Monday following Al Jazeera's coverage of clashes between the Palestinian Authority and terrorist fighters in the city of Jenin. According to the news report, local reports, the decision was taken after Al Jazeera broadcast news referring to the rebels as resistance fighters. 5 people who reportedly died in the clash so far. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting. So I decided to find another article about it. And I think that's going to be connected. Canada aids Palestine by training Palestinian Authority police to repress resistance. Fucking Canada. There's nothing that Canada loves more than punishing protesters. They had protesters to deal with, and they said, hey, you know what country would really help us tear up these protesters? Canada. In recent days, Palestinians in occupied Jenin have set up barricades and called a general strike to denounce the Palestinian Authority repression. They were responding to Palestinian Authority security forces killing a child named Mohammed Al-Amir, and a 19-year-old Mohammed Al-Shalabi as part of the operation to dislodge resistance groups in Jenin. Palestinian Authorities forces also killed a Palestinian Islamic Jihad commander. They always claim they kill a commander. Yazid Jasa. After funneling over $20 billion in arms to assist Israel's Holocaust in Gaza, the Biden administration is pressing the far-right Israeli government to approve a shipment of U.S. equipment to Palestinian Authority security forces so they can better repress resistance in Jenin and elsewhere. These poor people in the West Bank and in Gaza. Holy fuck, nobody is helping them. They're getting help from no one. This is insane. The Palestinian Authority is supposed to, supposedly was supposed to be, looking out for the best interest of Palestine. Clearly fucking not. After fund $20 billion in arms. You know how many people we could have helped with $20 billion instead of assisting Gaza in their bullshit? Or, I'm sorry, Israel's Holocaust in Gaza? Over the 14 months of slaughter in Gaza, Palestinian forces have repeatedly suppressed opposition to Israeli occupation. Isn't it kind of weird that Palestinian Authority wants to stop people from resisting Israeli occupation? Isn't that a bit bizarre? Yeah. That's because they long since bought out the Palestinian Authority. Israel's responsible for killing Yasser Arafat. And after that, everybody was either bribed or fell in line or whatever. They've detained hundreds and killed at least 13 in their bid to maintain power and suppress resistance to Israel. The Palestinian Authority wants to demonstrate to the U.S. and Israel that it is capable of running its sliver of the West Bank so it can be granted the right to rule Gaza. These poor people have no authority on their side. This is fucking awful. As Hezbollah in Lebanon and Ansarullah in Yemen and some Iraqi groups have resisted Israel's horrors in Gaza, the Palestinian Authority has repressed protests and militant activity in the West Bank. Though remarkable, it is not new. Over the past 20 years, Palestinian forces, which closely collaborates with Israeli intelligence, have repeatedly disrupted demonstrations in the West Bank, including protests against Israel's brutality in Gaza. The Palestinian Authority policy of security coordination with Israel has earned its name the subcontractors of the occupation. That's horrifying. These people have nowhere to run and no semblance of authority that is willing to try to help them. But yeah, the Palestinian Authority was supposed to, look to be there for to help the Palestinians. That's originally what it was supposed to be there for. That's insane. And Canada, of course, Canada's going to jump on that fucking bandwagon. Like, hell yeah, nobody suppresses and punishes protesters quite like us, so we will help. Unbelievable. Fuck Trudeau. Jesus. Next article. Israel claims journalists killed in Gaza strike outside hospital are undercover Islamic jihadist terrorists. Yeah, because, it's so common to have a terrorist just hanging out in his van in front of a hospital, just sitting there waiting for his child to be born. Sure. Okay. IDF says on Thursday that 5 people killed in a recent airstrike in Gaza were Islamic jihadist terrorists posing as journalists. Seems like a lot of journalists are getting killed, rejecting prior reports claiming they were in fact press workers. Their van said press even. They had work badges. But whatever, I guess. The IDF added in social media publications that people were part of a terrorist cell. That it confirmed their true operations from multiple sources. Yeah, I'm sure those sources are just as reliable as, isn't Doomcock the one that's always known for his sources? Yeah, his is probably more accurate than these people's sources. One key source was a list of Islamic jihadist operatives discovered by IDF during operations in Gaza. Of course. This list explicitly identified 4 of the eliminated individuals as members of the Islamic jihadist organization. So how the hell would you even know who's in the van? Unless you go up to see their faces. How would you even know who's in the van? Come on. Palestinian TV channel Quds today had claimed that the people were parked in a press-marked van outside a hospital while the wife of one of them was about to give birth. The Committee to Protect Journalists said it was devastated by the reports and that the journalists are civilians and must always be protected. So yeah, there is a baby born that will never know their dad because of this. BBC did recall that Quds today is affiliated with the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Oh, for God's sake. So who came up with that? Whose members took... Oh, for fuck's sake. Such a bunch of horse shit. Al-Quds today said in a statement that the men were killed as they carried out their media humanitarian duty. Well, technically, they were just sitting in their van waiting for the baby to be born, technically. So, but still. The CPJ said, what the hell is CPJ? Did it cover that at all? Oh, it's Committee to Protect Journalists. Okay. Said at least 133 Palestinian journalists have been killed since the war began, making it the deadliest conflict for journalists. Another study conducted by the Press Emblem Campaign and published earlier this month tallied that at least 165 killings across the globe so far this year. The deaths took place across 21 different countries around the world, but the vast majority, 2/3 of all victims, died while covering two major armed conflicts, the war in the Middle East and the Ukraine. According to the data, nearly 3/4 of all journalist deaths in 2024 took place in so-called conflict zones, where 120 out of 165 total victims died while covering war. That's insane. See, if I was the good guy, I would want reporters alive so they could see that I was telling the truth. Anybody who wants to kill reporters is hiding something. This fucking mess. Israeli airstrikes hit Yemen airport as a jet with hundreds on board was landing, UN official says. Israeli airstrike hit Yemen's main airport as a civilian Airbus 320 with hundreds of passengers on board was landing, and a UN delegation was waiting to leave. The UN's top humanitarian official in Yemen said Friday. Julian Harness told UN reporters that the most frightening thing about the two airstrikes on Thursday wasn't their effect on him and about 15 others in the VIP lounge. I love that they still have a VIP lounge. I don't know, that's kind of a little takeaway there, but I thought it was funny. At the international airport in Yemen's capital in Sana'a, included the head of the UN World Health Organization. Rather, it was the destruction of the airport's control tower as a Yemeni airway plane was taxiing after it touched down. Fortunately, that plane was able to land safely and the passengers were able to disembark, but it could have been far worse. And apparently, it came within 300 meters of the VIP lounge. Not only, obviously, did we have zero indication of any potential airstrikes, but we cannot remember the last time there were airstrikes in Sana'a during daylight hours, Harness said in a video conference with from Sana'a. The UN said that at least 3 people were killed and dozens injured in a strike. Among the injured was a crew member from the UN Humanitarian Air Service, which is about to fly to the UN delegation, some 20 people out of Sana'a. He suffered serious leg injuries from shrapnel and lost a lot of blood. Immediately after the airstrikes, the UN security officials moved the delegation out of the VIP building into 5 armored cars, where they waited for approximately 40 minutes to ascertain what happened and help injured crew members. So that's pretty crazy. Hold on, everybody. Hello, Lord Hafter. How are you? Haven't seen you in a while. Somebody was asking me like about dinner stuff. Very good, very good. I know, right? It just keeps getting fucking crazy. But if I say they unlabel it, right? Exactly. Yeah, exactly it. We live in a crazy ass like police state type world where reporters are killed or punished. It's a whole thing. And there's more. There's a couple of more we got to deal with. Look at this. These two articles here are related. So it gives you a comparison. So let's go up here. So the Daily Post Nigeria, there's other articles, but I like to kind of spice it up and show you different points of view. The IDF completes a raid on northern Gaza, arrests 240 terror suspects. Keep in mind, keep this part in mind. The IDF announced that the conclusion of a raid at Adwan Hospital in northern Gaza, reporting the arrest of approximately 240 suspects during the operation. The IDF stated that the operation targeted Hamas operatives who were using the hospital and surrounding areas as a base for terrorist activity. I can already tell you that's not the case. Because think about this, and I've said this before, it doesn't make any sense. Israel has shown us for over a year now that they have no problem bombing hospitals. So it would make no sense for Hamas to hide in a hospital because that's the first place they're going to bomb. Like, if you were hiding from the authorities or whatever, do you really think you're going to hide where they'll find you first? Like, you're like, they might look here, so I'm going to hide there. No, it doesn't make any sense. Obviously not. They say weapons were also reportedly seized, including firearms, explosives, and other military equipment. Sure, every time, right? The operation successfully neutralized a significant threat and disrupted Hamas infrastructure in the region. Sure, it did. Sure. The raid follows intense military activity in northern Gaza, including ongoing airstrikes and ground operations aimed at dismantling Hamas. It's just been leveling people's homes, really. Earlier, the IDF reported intercepting 2 long-range rockets launched from Gaza toward Jerusalem area, which is weird because Jerusalem is in the West Bank. So why would they shoot a missile from Gaza to the West Bank? That's also got Palestinians. That doesn't make any sense to me. But the rockets were shot down before reaching their targets, preventing casualties and damage. Additionally, Israeli forces launched new ground incursions into Bet Hanan, a northern Gaza neighborhood, as part of a broader effort to root out Hamas operatives. Boy, they just... So, yeah, that's their take on this. Now, 90% of the other articles I found were more like this. Israel arrests hospital director and other staff in a raid on the last functioning facility in northern Gaza, health officials say. Israel arrested a hospital director in a raid that closed the last major functioning health facility in northern Gaza, with its forces also accused of ordering patients to strip their clothes off in the street in the cold. Adwan Hospital is now empty after the remaining patients, some of them critically ill, along with caregivers and health workers, were transferred to the Indonesian hospital in Bet Leah, the World Health Organization said. The facility has come under frequent Israeli fire in recent months, and its closure exacerbates a dire humanitarian situation in northern Gaza. The whereabouts of Adwan's director, Dr. Hussam Saifa, and others are unclear, friends, colleagues say. We do not know the fate of Dr. Hussam. He was actually threatened by the army as soon as they arrived at the hospital, a nurse from Adwan Hospital. The Israeli military acknowledges Saturday that it detained Dr. Safaya I guess. Yeah. I don't know. And said that he was suspected of being a Hamas operative. Are you kidding right now? The IDF said it raided the hospital and detained 240 Islamic and jihadist terrorists, alleging the facility was being used as a Hamas terror stronghold. Oh, for fuck's sake. Individuals are being questioned. Those found not to be involved in terrorist activities are released. Well, that's weird because 240, yeah, they're claiming they're jihadist terrorists, but we'll question them and release them. Like, oh, can you imagine what their interrogation tactics are going to be like? Probably torture and beatings. Hamas, in a statement Saturday, called on the UN and all relevant international institutions to urgently intervene. We demand the sending of international observers to this facility to ascertain the truth of what is happening and to refute the lies and claims of the occupation regarding the use of for military purposes. See, that's kind of weird. The terrorists would be like demanding an investigation. That's kind of weird, isn't it? It's kind of weird to me. Israeli forces launched a renewed aerial and ground incursion in several parts of northern Gaza in early October this year, saying that they were targeting a resurgent Hamas presence there. The onslaught has raised streets to carpets of debris, killing entire families and severely depleting food, water, and medical stock. Oh, here is why they arrested him. Hold on. On Friday, Dr. Saifa said in a post on social media that the Israeli forces were besieging the facility and issuing orders for its evacuation. Multiple nurses have said that staff and patients were ordered to leave the hospital and gather outside. Once outside, the staff and patients were separated by gender, and both men and women were told to remove their clothes. 2 nurses told CNN those who refused to remove their clothing were beaten. After hours of being held, they were forced to move to a nearby Indonesian hospital, a facility that the WHO has described as destroyed and non-functional. Some patients said they asked to be transferred to the Indonesian hospital, but were not allowed. They told us to sit down. After gathering everyone, they made us strip down to our underwear in the cold. So Rayan told CNN, adding that the significant number of people were detained and injured patients were beaten. There were no limit to the beating. They struck people in the head with hoses. They dragged 3 people at a time, including an injured person with a cast, and beat them on the head. They spared no one. Not the injured, not the elderly, not the children. Other patients were allegedly made to walk hours on foot to a school in northern Gaza alongside medical staff. They made us strip down to our underwear, and it was a tough situation. They assaulted the wounded and the women. The IDF said it helped evacuate the staff and patients ahead of the operation, later adding that additional 95 patients, caregivers, and medical personnel were taken to an Indonesian hospital to maintain and operate essential systems. It is often necessary for terrorist suspects to take off their clothes so their clothes can be searched and to ensure they're not concealing explosive vests or weaponry. That is the dumbest fucking shit. You do not have to remove someone's pants and shirt to see if they have a bomb vest on. It's pretty fucking noticeable. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen people who wear bulletproof vests under their shirts, and it's quite fucking noticeable, isn't it? This would be equally noticeable. Perhaps more so, depending on how it's built. So if someone's wearing a thick vest underneath their shirt, you can tell. You don't have to strip them naked to see it. No. What this was, and this is a common thing done, is they were forced to strip down as a humiliation tactic. That's what it was. Pure and simple. It is a intrusive humiliation tactic, especially in the cold. But, telling women and children, because it mentioned there was children there too, making women and children strip down out of their clothes in the cold and beating them if they don't comply. Yeah, it's a little bit different than this fucking article right here, isn't it? Yeah, this is a lot more detailed. Let's see. For the idea, as soon as possible after the search, the clothing is returned to them or alternate clothing is provided. Mm. Well, that person over here said they had to walk on foot for hours after they had been stripped. Oh, and they assaulted the women. They assaulted the wounded and the women. Like the brave motherfuckers they are, huh? Asked by CNN about the allegations of strip searches and beatings of patients, as well as if they had evidence to claim of the claims against Dr. Saifa. The IDF responded the detention of the suspects involved in terrorism, their arrests, and their search conducted on their bodies were carried out in accordance with international law. They always claim their shit's within international law, but the international law community says differently. Video sent by a nurse Bach from Indonesian hospital seen by CNN showed upturned furniture, tattered blankets strewn about along the dusty corridors, and the buzz of Israeli drones can be heard overhead. CNN has reached the Israeli military asking for comment on the allegations that men and women were forced to strip. Several staff also reported a large fire breaking out. Al-Bash told CNN that the blaze broke out in the hospital after the Israeli strike on the building, with staff forced to use water from the kidney dialysis machine to fight the flames. Unfortunately, this water was mixed with chlorine and other substances, resulting in burns on their hands and faces. The Israeli IDF said there was a small fire in an empty building inside the hospital that was under control. A small fire in an empty building inside. So there's a building inside of a building? Is that what they were trying to say? It added that troops are operating in the area of the hospital and not inside of it. No, they just ordered everybody to, and that's weird because, all right, so they're saying, the IDF is saying they were operating at the hospital, ordered everybody out, but they did not go inside. If they did not go inside, how do they claim they found weapons inside? Weird. And also another thing this brings up. So if they were able to detain 240 people, that's a lot of fucking people, mind you. That's a lot of people. So if they IDF can just roll up to a hospital and detain 240 people, it makes you wonder why they felt the need to bomb the other hospitals like they have. Because there's quite a few times when they've shown they can just pull up to the hospital and start shooting people. So bombing them like, oh, we have to bomb it because there's, Hamas inside. Like, no, you didn't have to. You've shown plenty of times that you can just pull up and start detaining people. So they just like blowing up hospitals and hurting people because they have fun with it. They're sickos. So yeah, that's I think we about got that all covered. Let's see. I know it is. It is very Orwellian. Meow meow, West Cable. Hello and welcome. Thought police are also. Oh yeah, they are, and full force they are. Absolutely. Yeah, they'll be happy to, And the worst part of it almost is the brainwashing, because there are a lot of people who have this attitude of, well, they shouldn't have been there, or they should have complied. And they're the same people that half the time they have one of those Punisher skulls on their truck and a fucking Gladstone flag on the other side of their back glass. Or even better, one of those fucking decals that say, come and take it. But they're telling people they should fucking comply. The audacity of that every fucking time I see that kind of shit. And Oklahoma is fucking stick with it. You got, on one hand, they're like, oh, if the government ever turns against this. First off, it already has. Surprise. And secondly, they're the same people who are quick to say, well, those people shouldn't have been there. Well, they should have complied. Well, if they weren't terrorists, why were they there? Because it's a fucking hospital. Dingus. Duh. It's unbelievable. The amount of people who are these, what is it, armchair patriots? Is that what they're called? Fuck. Just like that story the stories I was talking about when I first started this live stream about this guy who backs the police no matter what the police do. That is a scary fucking thing. For those of you who weren't there, and actually I already closed those pages down, but you can go back to the beginning of the live stream. I think about 5 minutes in, I start showing these articles. So, yeah, I had to get rid of somebody because they were upset that I supported a woman whose son, 10-year-old son, was killed by a police officer, and the police officer faced no punishment whatsoever. And so she stabbed him with a hypodermic infected with HIV. I don't blame the mother for getting revenge for her dead son. I don't. Honestly, that's wild. I wouldn't have thought of that. That's wild. And he thought I was terrible for supporting that. In fact, I'll show you what he said. All right, here we go. Actually, this would be easier if I do it over here. Make it big enough for everybody to see it. Oh, it says story unavailable. Sorry, the story expired, but it shows a woman's mugshot, and she stabbed a cop with an HIV needle because that man had killed her 10-year-old son, and charges were dismissed. So she tried to let it go to court. She tried to let it take the right way. He goes, if you support trash like this, we can't be friends. I told you I'm the same as I was, just smarter. Nah. I was like, cringe. I'll make it simple. Bye-bye. Like, I don't know what. Like, really? Anywho. Like, I don't like anybody that much. Nah. I ain't nobody's friend that hard. I'm not. Yeah, he is the kind of guy that if martial law is declared, he's going to be snitching out all his friends. He'll be snitching out everybody. You know what I mean? You got to make sure that the friends you are friends with are the kind of people who will be good friends in the apocalypse and in fucking martial law. Okay? If you got somebody who acts wishy-washy to authority, they're not going to have your back when shit gets bad. They're not. That motherfucker right there that I just showed you, he's the same motherfucker that 80 years ago would have been like, she's up there in that attic right there. Fuck that dude. I'm sorry. But that's the kind of people that we're dealing with out there. You got to be careful. Meow, Daniel. How are you? Anyway, it's a little better after venting all that because I was really fucking annoyed by that. I was amused and annoyed, which is kind of a conflicting feeling. Anyway, y'all are awesome. I love you. And remember, it's important to pick your friends very carefully. It is. It's just like that joke when they say, ladies, make sure that you pick a boyfriend who's going to be good in the apocalypse. It's important to pick friends in general that will be. Because one of these days, things are going to get worse. They are getting worse. They currently are. And that's part of the reason why I do this, to bring your attention to it. Anyway, but I love y'all. Be safe out there. Watch your back. Trust pretty much nobody. So I'll do this. And then I will play the song of songs.
Welcome to the shit show. Every single day, a new flavor of fuckery. Cause everybody's such, you see, and they're dumber than a bag of clots. Monday, bullshit. Tuesday, bullshit. Wednesday, hey, what the fuck? And then 4 more days of increasingly stupid, ridiculous, ignorant, boulder, dash, poppycock, bollocks, and fuckery.